So Beto O'Rourke raised a massive $6.1 million his first day in the 2020 race. This is according to the campaign. There he is. What do you think he's thinking in that picture? What do you think? I think he's saying, does this shirt look good on me? How's my denim look? Did you guys see that picture of him on that magazine where that dog didn't want to be with him? Did you guys see that? There's that picture that dog's with him, and the dog just looks like, like even the dog's not convinced by this guy. Animals, they have an instinct. I really do believe that, by the way. I think that dogs in particular, they sense sincerity. I think they can tell the difference between somebody who's just sort of like, you're cute, huh? And somebody who genuinely is a warm, like loves animals and just sort of has like a nurturing vibe about them. I think animals can sense that stuff. And when that's not the case, they can sense that too. Dogs and cats. Because I feel like I've seen it firsthand. And what I'm saying is animals fucking love me. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, you look at that picture, that dog is like not having Beto. And I think it's because dogs, they're like, this guy's a bullshitter. This guy's a bullshitter. That dog is feeling the fucking burn. All right, so anyway, let's get to this article about this $6.1 million that they won't tell us where it all came from. They won't tell us that. They choose not to. Beto O'Rourke chooses not to do that. He said, I choose not to, which is the same response I have when someone asks me, are you going to vote for Beto O'Rourke in this primary? I choose not to. No. All right, so there's his dumb face. And here's the article. So Beto O'Rourke raised $6.1 million in the first 24 hours of his presidential campaign, according to his campaign. This amounts the largest announced first-day haul of any 2020 Democratic contender to date. This is more than the $5.1 million one day that Bernie Sanders had. And Kamala Harris had a whopping 1.5. I know it's crazy, that commercial that she made with the Casio keyboard from 1995, where it was just a word salad that had no ideas whatsoever. Which, by the way, Beto also had a word salad with no ideas whatsoever. But he was a little more innovative. Instead of using a Casio keyboard from 1995, he jumped up on a bar table and yelled about nothing for a while in what looked like a Willy Wonka costume. Anyway, let's get back to this dumb article. So the first day total shows O'Rourke has the potential. Yeah. All right. In just 24 hours, this is according to Beto. In just 24 hours, Americans across the country came together to prove that it is possible to run a true grassroots campaign for president. He's not referring to Bernie's first day. He's referring to his. A campaign by all of us, for all of us, that answers not to the PACs, corporations, and special interests, but to the people, O'Rourke said in a statement announcing the total. Reports have neither confirmed nor denied whether or not O'Rourke had his fingers behind his back like this when he said all that. He should have. He's received tons of money from the fossil fuel industry. Tons of it. And he's not disclosing where all this came from. He says it's not for PACs and corporations. He says that. But a lot of the candidates backpedal on that all the time. And again, I stand by my prediction. You know, they're going to say they're not taking PAC money because that's the trend right now. You know, Kamala Harris says that. Cory Booker's said that in the past. Beto O'Rourke's saying that. Elizabeth Warren's saying that. If a centrist becomes the nominee, they're going to start taking it again because they're going to say, but Trump. That's what I predict will happen. That's my guess. They're going to say, hey, but Trump, we can't bring a knife to a gunfight or whatever it is. And they're going to start taking PAC money again. That's my prediction. There's already been some grumblings that that's going to be the case. And that's what I see happening. If a centrist becomes the nominee, centrist, I should call it what it is. You know what? Let me correct myself. If a conservative becomes the nominee, they're going to be like, but Trump, and start taking PAC money again. And they're going to report to the donors. And they'll probably lose to Trump. Because last time a conservative ran against Trump, Trump won. So, all right, let's get back to this. He began his campaign with big promises. What were those promises? He didn't promise. He talked about nothing. All right. Okay. So here's this quote. They asked him about his fundraising, and he says, "I can't talk about that right now." Now, a reporter responded that O'Rourke could share his fundraising totals if he wanted to. "You're right. I choose not to." So he did so with the pledge not to accept money from political action committees, which O'Rourke carried over to his presidential campaign. The approach is unusual. Many other Democratic presidential contenders have sworn off money from corporate PACs, but accept money from those friendlier to Democratic interests like labor unions. Well, here's something. This guy's been anti-labor his entire career. So maybe labor unions aren't necessarily banging down his door. I'm sure in Texas they had his back over Ted Cruz. I mean, I'm sure they had his back in Texas over Ted Cruz, but... All right, so here's Beto O'Rourke talking more. If we have a strong showing on our first day, people will see it as a sign, blah, blah, blah. That's nice. Beto has also quickly returned to a habit that made him a viral hit in Texas. You know what made him a viral hit in Texas? What made him a viral hit in Texas is he wasn't Ted Cruz. He wasn't Ted Cruz. He had a shot at beating Ted Cruz. He's a likable guy. He speaks well. He speaks about nothing, but he speaks well. It's a convincing talking about nothing. Like, you want to like that. You want to be like, when he was standing up on that bar table, getting excited, waving his hands, doing his impression of Bernie. He was waving. Someone told him, like, wave your hands. Bernie does that. That's why people like him. No, people like Bernie because Bernie has ideas. No, it's because of the hand waving. I took a poll. I did a market research study. So Beto's like, okay, I'll wave my hands. He looked like he was conducting an orchestra. They were supposed to be playing the Star Spangled Banner, but they didn't show up. But he looked like, he's just like, here, I'm waving. This is how Bernie would look if Bernie didn't give a shit. If Bernie didn't actually care about what he was saying, this is what he would look like. Democracy. Our democracy needs to work. Innovation, creativity. 320 million strong. Derp. Nothing platitude. If you didn't catch the Beto O'Rourke speech, I just summarized it for you. And he literally had the same amount of information that I just gave you. So that was Beto's ridiculous speech. But his viral moment was he wasn't Ted Cruz. He would have been better than Ted Cruz. And guess what? He couldn't beat Ted Cruz. All right, so let's go to this. But Ron, it was Texas. It's Ted Cruz. All right, so Beto began his campaign with a series of smaller events and coffee shops. Were they hipster coffee shops? That's my big question. Were they hipster coffee shops? All right, and then he went into Wisconsin. Small group is operating in El Paso, where he's, all right. He has not yet hired a campaign manager. I'd like to think it's because no one wants that stupid gig. All right, so there you go. So, according to his campaign, Beto raised a lot of money. So, if you're a Beto O'Rourke supporter, he doesn't need any more. He's good. So, don't give to that campaign. he had an amazing first day. Let's just let it. He's good. Beto's set. I'm curious to see where all this money came from. I know he set a pledge. He set a pledge, but he also received more oil and gas money than even a lot of Republicans over his career. So where's all that money coming from? It's a question that we don't know the answer to. But and I think a lot of people still think this guy is the real deal. Why? Because he talks nice. He has done cool things. He was a skateboarder. He played punk rock music. I think a lot of people still think he really is a grassroots phenomenon, but he isn't. He's voted with Republicans the majority of the time. He wanted to fast track the TPP. He's always been pro-Wall Street. He's been anti-union his entire career. He is not for single-payer health care. And he couldn't beat Ted Cruz. So this guy is not the real deal at all. He's the DNC's plan B, Beto. Because a lot of people aren't responding positively to Kamala Harris, so they're on to their plan B, which is Beto O'Rourke.
Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our news on today. Yeah, yeah, yeah. You can tweet me an article at Ron Placone. We'll go through it together and make it our own. Get your news on with Ron. Don't you want to know what's going on? We're getting our